It should be kicking in right now.
It's live, yeah.
All right, and we are back. Thank you, Richard's back today. This is Old New Dude with my co-host
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
It was go. Sorry. At least I know the video and the sound are working. That's on my tablet. It was weird doing it yesterday without Richard, so chances are I'm not going to do that again because I
didn't think you were going to. I was shocked when you were like, "Hey, give me your notes." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
To be honest with you, the way my head is, I forgot you weren't going to be there. It didn't even dawn on me. But I compare us to the odd couple, and I'm the slob, but it's more like Pinky and the Brain, and I'm Pinky.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, not a problem. Sansa won. I mean, wasn't looking for a whole lot in this chapter, but there was more there than I thought there was. But as usual, well, if you want to explain the Preston thing that I messed up yesterday.
Oh, I was just saying there he talks about free will and omniscience and choices and things and you know, so the specific line was something along the lines of I have no choice, he said, choosing or something like that, right? And so I was just commenting that was very reminiscent of his whole discussion of so the concept is, how can you have omniscience and free will, right? There's actually a name for that paradox, which I put in the notes for last. Actually, pull up the last notes. Let me see here, just a second here. Let me switch notes here. There's a name for that paradox. It's, and like I said, I wrote it down. Oh, there it was. Oops, down a page there. Newcombs Paradox. So Newcombs Paradox basically says, let's say that you had somebody who you knew was perfect at predicting things, and they told you that if they and they were going to give you two boxes, one that was completely transparent and one that was opaque. And in the opaque one, they tell you if they believe you will take both boxes because you have faith in their predictions, they will put a greater sum than the total, like by a lot, like a factor of 10 or something, in the opaque box. And so it's like $1,000 in the transparent box and like $10,000 in the opaque box or something like that, right?
Right.
And so they're going to do this, they tell you, and if they think you're going to take both boxes, then they're going to put 10,000 in the opaque box, and if not, they're going to put nothing in the opaque box, right? And so the question is, they make their prediction, they leave, you sit there and think about it for a while, and there's two schools of thought. Well, they've already made their prediction, they've already left, I should take both boxes, versus if I take only the opaque box and leave, then I'm going to have I'll have the most money because that means that they predicted that, and I'm going to have and I know that this person always picks accurately. So the question is, should you take the opaque box or should you take both boxes? And that's your choice. You're allowed to either take the opaque box or both boxes.
But you're sitting there thinking what their actions mean to your choices.
Right. And so it's like, well, they've already made their decision. So now it's up to me, and I have free will, so I can change what I do. I can think all I want that I'm only going to take the opaque box and then take both. And I mean, there's only so much money there. It's already there. There's either there's 11,000 or there's 1,000. Shouldn't I take the whole thing? Right.
So this is the way my head is. Okay, when you're talking about this in the Matrix, the Oracle says, "Don't worry about that vase," and then Neo knocks it over and breaks, and he looks at her. He goes, and then she's like, or he's like, "Man, I can't remember how it happened, but if she hadn't said, 'Don't worry about that vase,' he wouldn't have moved and knocked the vase over." It's just one of them scenes. All right, never mind.
Anyway, the point is, you can't have somebody who's omniscient and have free will. It doesn't. The two are arguably incompatible.
Right.
So, let's get to Sansa 1, which, like you said, is a lot more in here. Everybody just remembers this as the Joffrey Micah Direwolf showdown here, but this is
there's a lot leading up to that, though. There's more there than I thought.
Yeah, it's quite a bit more interesting than that. Eddard Stark had left before dawn, Septa Mordane informed Sansa as they broke their fast. The king sent for him. Another hunt, I do believe. that there are still wild aurochs in these lands, I am told. So Eddard Stark believed the story early too, mostly because the king asked him to come with him to the south and because of another hunt.
Yes. As soon as I read it on your email, I was like, yes.
Sansa did not really know Joffrey yet, but she was already in love with him. He was all she ever dreamt her prince should be, tall and handsome and strong, with hair like gold. And I just wrote, childhood crushes are rough, gold like Lannisters.
I wrote down on that one that she didn't know him but loved him, and then once she got to know him, she hated him.
Right. Arya gave her a look like she was so stupid. Sansa knows Arya well because we know in her head she's always thinking everybody's so stupid.
Yes.
I hate riding, Sansa said fervently. Well, Micah showed me a lizard lion. This is our first reference of lizard lion, shown to a Stark sister by her male companion. Hold that thought. Huge flowers bloomed in the mud and floated on pools of stagnant water. But if you were stupid enough to leave the causeway to pluck them, there were quicksands waiting to suck you down, and snakes watching from the trees, and lizard lions floating half submerged in the water, like black logs with eyes and teeth. Arya is being brave, bordering on foolhardy.
Yes.
Again, hold on to this thought, because something very similar that also seems brave almost to the point of foolhardy is coming up. She had bruises on her arms and shoulders, too, dark purple welts and faded green and yellow splotches. Sansa had seen them when her sister undressed for sleep. How she had gotten those, only the 7 gods knew. We readers must be the 7, because we know how she's getting these. She's practicing.
Yes.
Sansa knew all about the sorts of people Arya liked to talk to. Commoners are beneath our highborn Sansa.
Now, on that, I sense, even though it's the commoners are beneath Sansa, I sense a little bit of jealousy that so many people like Arya.
Maybe.
I mean, we got all the stuff that Arya is jealous of Sansa for.
Yeah, that's a good.
We never
good
think
idea.
about it going the other way. So everything that Sansa's griping about Arya is stuff that she might be secretly jealous of.
There's also a few times where she's thinking about stupid too, right? Right there is one of them, but she also thinks her stupid sister a few times, and so
right.
They're a little more alike than we sometimes notice.
Yes.
The kennel master once told her that an animal takes after its master. She gave Lady a quick little hug. Lady licked her cheek. Sansa giggled. It's so sad how amazing Lady is in this chapter, and she's also very much guarding Sansa here and a little bit too, and
yeah,
she's really good.
Now, I know I've said in the past that I think Lady dies so early in the story that so we don't find out how little warding ability, if any at all, Sansa has. And this chapter has kind of confused me a little bit.
Well, I mean, you have to remember just how quickly these wolves are learning, and keep in mind, Dany's connection with her horse is instantaneous, right? I mean, she's a Lyanna level of rider instantaneously when she gets to that horse. Like,
right.
People who haven't horseback ridden or especially haven't galloped, they don't understand. No, this is magic. This is magic. You cannot do that.
Well, getting back to that, because I already told you the story where I fell off the horse and got thrown in the barn. We got Sansa saying, "I hate riding."
Right.
And riding horses is a very Stark thing.
Right.
Arya's great at it because she's more Stark, supposedly.
And she even says that it hurts that she's better at it because they call her horse face, and so it hurts.
Yeah, that's another thing I think she's slightly jealous of. But I'll stick it on this wolf thing for just a second. I always thought there wasn't that big of a bond between Lady and Sansa, but you got at the beginning of it, she's feeding Lady a piece of bacon, and the lady takes it from her hand as if she were a queen, just ever so gently. But there's things in this chapter Arya would only have to tell Nymeria, stay. sit, wait, and then go do whatever she was doing. But Sansa has to tie Lady up for her to go off and do something. So I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if we know that, though. I mean, she does that because she doesn't. I don't think she realizes just how strong the bond is, that she could maybe just say stay, and she would stay.
Yeah. Like I said, though, this I mean, at first when I read it, I'm like, aha, and then I kept reading, and I was like, oh crap, I'm still confused.
Yeah, she's got a pretty strong bond.
Yeah.
Sometimes you act like such a child. The next book has a very similar exchange, also in Sansa's first chapter. Mother said, mocked the king, don't be childish. We're children, Myrcella declared haughtily. We're supposed to be childish. The hound laughed. She has you there.
That's actually on the Hound's line. That's one of those that at the very beginning of the book is like, okay, there's a lot more there than we see.
Yeah, you're starting to realize that he's a real person there. Yeah.
Right. But that Myrcella line is freaking awesome.
Yeah. Lady and I will eat all the lemon cakes and just have the best time without you. She turned to walk off, but Arya shouted after her, they won't let you bring Lady either. She was gone before Sansa could think of a reply, chasing Emeria along the river. Alone and humiliated. And I said justifiably humiliated. It was a pretty silly thing to say, as it reinforces Arya being correct, right? They really should be, they really are better off if they're wolves.
Yes, definitely. And then in that scene, when she has other people around her, and she lets the lady pick the path for her, and then she sees Barristan and Renly. And I did not know Renly had green eyes.
So that's a notorious error.
Okay.
So my understanding is that at one point he says Renly has blue eyes, and at one point he says he has green eyes, and then like there's another time where he said his blue-green eyes or something. Like he tried to fix it later.
Fix it, yeah. Well, I mean, he was wearing green armor. You could say that. I mean, why wear a blue shirt? My eyes are bluer. Okay.
Yeah. So,
but
I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. That this is the eye color one that people noticed that he kind of retconned.
All right. Like I said, as soon as I read it, it was like, what? Okay. And then her reaction to ill and pain. We're talking about how
you're getting ahead of me here, dude.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, that's in the notes.
All right. Sorry. I'm reading along. I apologize.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, go ahead.
So here's our famous quote that supports the Order of the Green Hand theory here, right? So Sansa could never understand how two sisters born only 2 years apart could be so different. It would have been easier if Arya had been a bastard like their half-brother Jon. She even looked like Jon with the long face and brown hair of the Starks, and nothing of their lady mother in her face or her coloring. And Jon's mother had been common, or so people whispered. Once when she was littler, Sansa had even asked Mother if perhaps there hadn't been some mistake. Perhaps the Grumpkins had stolen her real sister, but Mother had only laughed and said no, Arya was her daughter and Sansa's true-born sister, blood of their blood. Sansa could not think why Mother would want to lie about it, so she supposed it had to be true. As we mentioned in Bran's second chapter, this is very similar to his mother often said that Bran could climb before he could walk. Bran could not remember when he first learned to walk, but he could not remember when he started to climb either, so he supposed it must be true. Tying this to an obvious exaggeration implies it to be similarly false that Arya is trueborn. And we can easily think why it could be a lie.
That's pretty sweet.
But anyway, my next thing in the notes was a terror as overwhelming as anything Sansa Stark had ever felt filled her suddenly.
Yes.
And I just wrote Ilyn is death.
Right.
He has all the death symbolism.
Oh, yeah. But when we talk about how sensitive we think Ned is to hearing God speak or feeling the presence of or whatever, the hidden hands, Jon also and everything, I never even thought, because I didn't think Sansa had anything in her as far as any magical abilities, but that one section on her talking about ill and pain is like, okay, I mean, something's the hidden hands are going. Pay attention to that man because he means your family harm.
Yeah.
And that's even before Lady does any growling whatsoever. So it's not Lady saying, "Hey, this person's no good." It's Sansa in the little spider sense in the back of her head.
Yeah. I only wrote down that one, but it happens like multiple times. She keeps having this terror with him. Strong hands grasped her by the shoulders, and for a moment, Sansa thought it was her father. But when she turned, it was the burned face of Sandor Clegane looking down at her. His mouth twisted in a terrible mockery of a smile. "You are shaking, girl." So Sandor is definitely a father figure protecting her, and so this is strongly implying, foreshadowing that he's going to be that protector, that father figure.
Right. Also, it's a nod that there is more honor in this man, because you're comparing him to Ned, the most honorable man in the story.
Right.
So there's more honor in Sandor than you believe.
Right. So I just highlighted the Hound, ever faithful. So, I mean, that's when he says, let's leave your dog and my dog, right, and all that. But anyway, I just thought that was nice that again, another hint that no, the Hound really is this a little more honorable and faithful than perhaps we at first led to believe.
It's a nod to how he's going to treat Arya also later in the story.
Yeah. Someday she would be a queen. Possible foreshadowing. I do think that when Littlefinger refers to the three queens, that he's referring to Cersei. He's not referring to Daenerys, right? He's referring to Cersei and Marjorie and Sansa, because everybody has been told that Bran and Rickon are dead, and so the war is really. And no, I don't think he's thinking too much of Selyse. I don't think he thinks that Stannis has much of a chance at that point.
Right.
He's really thinking that he's going to work to make Sansa the third queen, a different option than Marjorie and Cersei. So
within a realm that's the same size as the rest of the place.
Yep.
There's not as many people. Yeah.
"Then surely you have chosen the right one, your grace," she said, and a gale of laughter erupted all around her. "Well spoken, child." And Sansa really does shine at the court courtesies, as Tyrion will later notice. Right. "I can answer," Sansa said quickly to quell her prince's anger. At least she can tell he gets angry. I mean, she's not that blinded by her love.
Yeah.
"Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight, championing Queen Nerys's honor against evil Sir Morgul's slanders." For the record, I don't think they were slanders.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know what's that about. So.
We're talking about the Blackfires.
Okay.
Okay. So, in my opinion, what happened? Somebody actually convinced. Is it Darren Blackfire? Damon Blackfire.
I have no idea.
Anyway, the point is, somebody convinced him that no, the brother of the queen on the Kingsguard that everybody thinks is the greatest knight in the world is in fact sleeping with his sister, and those are not true-born heirs. And so so history is repeating itself, right? And the Blackfires had been legitimized, therefore they are not bastards. If in fact they're not even really descendants of the king that are officially the heirs to the throne, it would make sense that he would. And one of the reasons I think this is true is because it makes Stannis a hypocrite, right? Stannis says, "Oh, the Blackfires were traitors." No, they were doing exactly what you're doing. They came to realize that, in fact, they were the rightful heirs because the people in line for the throne were not actually descended from the king.
Right. And you got the Sir Eustace Osgrey says that it all depends on who wins the war to determine who the traitors are.
Yeah, but I'm arguing that the Blackfires may have somehow become convinced that this was true, right?
Right.
Somehow somebody caught wind of the fact that there was an affair going on between the brother and sister, where the brother on the King's Guard was actually fathering the children of the Queen. And so it's literally the exact same situation that Stannis has. He's become aware that the brother of the Queen on the King's Guard was sleeping with the king, and so there are no heirs of the king, legitimate or otherwise. They're not legitimate heirs, right?
There's a light bulb just went over my head, man.
Yeah.
I'm being pinky today.
It makes Stannis a hypocrite, right? It makes Stannis a hypocrite, but he's only a hypocrite if, in fact, those slanders are true.
Right.
And so I like the idea of Stannis being a hypocrite, because it's literally the exact same scenario.
Yes.
We could go riding. Oh, I love riding, Sansa said. Right.
No more words needed on that one.
Yeah. They explored the caves by the riverbank and tracked a Shadowcat to its lair. And when they grew hungry, Joffrey found a holdfast by its smoke and told them to fetch food and wine for their prince and his lady. So both sisters are brave, bordering on foolhardy.
Yes.
This is the first reference to the term Shadowcat. Yes. They tracked it to its lair, and it's shown to a Stark sister by her male companion in the same chapter.
Oh my goodness.
Also note, Joffrey doesn't pay for things. As you mentioned during the last chapter, a single gold piece worth more than a bag of silver would be a heck of a lot easier for Joffrey to obtain if he were trying to pay somebody, which he doesn't do. He just orders people. But even if he did, it would be much easier for him to get a single gold piece out of his mother than it would be for him to somehow get 90 silver pieces from someone without arousing any suspicion. That's just not possible.
That's right.
Sansa drank more wine than she had ever drunk before. And then just a little later, the wine had made him wild. Yeah. So maybe Joffrey's not quite as unlike Robert as we thought, and that they're both out of control drunks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's setting him up to be in a bad light. There's a lot of things I've done when I was drunk I pray nobody else knew about. So I think he had a lot of help to become the butthead that he was, and maybe he wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, he's trying to emulate his dad, basically, right? So he thinks getting drunk is good. Both of his parents drink a lot, so he thinks that's kind of what's expected of royalty, and that's part of why he tells her, that his queen can, or his lady can drink as much as she wants. His lady, I think he calls her, but yeah. His eyes were on fire. Oh, no, sorry. I won't hurt him much, Prince Joffrey told Arya, never taking his eyes off the butcher's boy. His eyes were on fire, which is the same Mad King vibes that Cersei has, right? Yes. Her wildfire eyes. Both of the times that her eyes are compared to wildfire, there's either candlelight or feverish heat. So anyway, so fire, wildfire, feverish heat, it's kind of the same thing.
You got to stop and think about it also, and this might be my one point for this video today. Aerys, when he was younger, befriended Tywin Lannister, Steffan Baratheon. He was, good as gold. He was a great guy. Those two guys got along with him great. They were best friends. And then at some point in his life, he went down the path of Mad King. Yeah. Cersei has been a certain way up to a certain point, and then once she got to the freedom of being that Mad Queen, she took the path of being Mad Queen. And then you got Joffrey, that's Targaryen. Also, he started out maybe not that bad, but he's going to get to a certain point, and then when he can, he's going to go down that path.
Yeah, you're right. It really is the power corrupts kind of thing. They're capable of trying to behave courtly and polite, but then once they have power, their sadistic narcissism kind of comes out. Yeah. Where was I here? Joffrey slashed at Arya with his sword, screaming obscenities, terrible words, filthy words. Arya darted back, frightened now, but Joffrey followed, hounding her toward the woods, backing her up against a tree. They're not playing, and Nymeria attacking is about the least bad outcome we could hope for at this point, because they're literally, he's literally trying to kill her.
Right. You swinging that sword full speed. If she wasn't as quick as she was, she'd already be dead.
Yep.
And you got to remember, this is probably the same spot because they were looking for the spot where Robert was battle raged mad, swinging that hammer, killing supposedly Rhaegar Targaryen. This is in the same area too, so in a way, he's sort of emulating his father.
Yeah, and there's the tie of Arya to Lyanna and arguably therefore Rhaegar and Lyanna is so strong, right? So it's interesting there. Yeah.
I think we're going to see a similar scene at the river later in the story, just because George likes to do threes.
My favorite video on YouTube of A Song of Ice and Fire is probably the Gray Area's video about comparing Arya with Lyanna and the Ghost of Highheart.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I haven't watched that one.
I'll shoot you. I'll tweet it out at you.
Okay, all right, I appreciate it.
At some point, I'll try to find it. She didn't hurt you much. She picked up Lion's Tooth where it had fallen and stood over him, holding the sword with both hands. And then a little bit. Arya whirled and heaved the sword into the air, putting her whole body into the throw. The blue steel flashed in the sun as the sword spun out over the river. This is like Excalibur in reverse, right? It's a brilliant, beautiful, magical moment where Lion's Tooth is just the opposite of Excalibur. It's a girl throwing the king's sword into the river because the man who will be king is unworthy.
Yeah, that was nice. You point out things that don't even pop in my head, man. I appreciate it.
And then finally, we close with, "I'll ride to the holdfast and bring help for you." Tenderly, she reached out and brushed back his soft blonde hair. His eyes snapped open and looked at her, and there was nothing but loathing there, nothing but the vilest contempt. "Then go," he spit at her, "and don't touch me."
I got nothing on that, but
yeah. I mean, neither do I. I just thought it was, it's certainly the close, right? It really shows you that he's really, I mean, he's just basically he's embarrassed that he's gotten beaten by a girl, and so he has his hatred and misplaced anger and all that, right?
Right. There's one thing I wanted to touch on before we left today. At the very beginning of the book, you got Septim Mordain kind of nipping at Sansa about the way she's acting with this wolf. That is kind of, it kind of mirrors Arya's behavior.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking the wolf, which I still don't know which way I am on how the connection is. The wolf is bringing out a side of Sansa that Septim Mordain hasn't seen yet.
And she even says, when it comes to that wolf, you're as willful as Arya, right? And their willful word is basically lack of obedience, so like not knowing your place, however you want to phrase that.
Right. Well, she makes the mention that the kennel master says that dogs take on the characteristics of their owner, and this is actually a little bit to the other way.
Right.
The owner is taking on some characteristics. In this case, the wolf.
Right, and I've said in the past that I feel like this is like a peer-to-peer relationship, pretty much with the Starks and the Wolves, and that's part of why I think Lady may actually have a second life inside Sansa.
Right. When I heard you say that, I was like, man, that's awesome because Lady was such a. She was a cool wolf. Yeah,
I didn't talk every time here, but she's constantly protecting Sansa in this, as all these new threatening people show up and so forth.
Well, I mean. The wolves feed off the internal thinking of their teammate. If they're nervous on the inside, the wolves feed off of that and respond without anything having to be said. And then also you got the Great Wind knowing who the evil people are, and Cat going, no. If Gervin don't like them, keep them away from you. It's just.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? We've talked about how the wolves early on between these two are basically emulate each other, right? This relationship, and we talked before about how Ghost and Grey Wind are basically the same with Jon and Robb. So then that makes you wonder about, Shaggy Dog and Summer. Maybe we need to look for parallels between Shaggy Dog and Summer and Bran and Rickon. And I think there probably are quite a few, actually, now I think about it. I think they are kind of each paired up in a way, right?
Right.
But these two are helping to emphasize the similarities and the relationships with Sansa and Arya, and then Jon and Robb, and then probably Bran and Rickon as well. So we should be on the lookout for that. That's
actually a good point, because it's 2-2-2.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be right. Now that we're saying that, I'm thinking I bet we're going to see that.
Yeah, that is definitely a really good feather in the hat on that.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's about it. Let's.
It's Friday. The next chapter is Eddard, whatever number 3. 2, 3. Y'all have a good weekend. Y'all stay safe. Are you gonna make it Monday, or just text me if you can? I think
so. I'll let you know if not, and we'll. Are you gonna? Don't do that without me, man. You gotta.
Yeah,
we don't need to do 5 chapters a week.
I thought that you were going to be there. So from now on, if he's not going to be there, I'll do a short, stupid theory video. Because the whole time I'm like, is he going to jump in now? Is he going to jump in now? I didn't know you said you could make it. So
I specifically said I couldn't.
I have really bad memory problems. I do apologize.
That's all right.
Have a good weekend. As soon as I find out the next Richard and Old New Dude show, I'll put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
But either way, Monday I will be back with something stupid. So y'all have a good weekend. Thanks, Richard.
I think one is probably going to work. All right. Anyway, have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. And let's see if we can get this thing. Oh, please. Hold on, buddy. I'm trying to.